Okay, much that you can say something to confirm that you're listening so that we can start.
Yes, we can start.
So, guys, Argenti'S, let me just share a few things. Argenti'S is I want to call it a qualitative model. Qualitative tool, okay, used to evaluate or predict the likelihood of an organization going under. Okay, so this is things is not formal, but an organization failing or going to fail. So whereas a qualitative tool, it also has a few numerical figures, so it's also quantitative in nature. It is a little quantitative, okay, because it also has scores. Okay. And Argenti'S as a model, it's a process. Yeah. Itself. Process. Okay, just a moment. Okay, Argenti'S in itself, it is a process. So it's a process through which an organization or a business is predicted to fail or to be likely to fail. Okay, so since it's a process, it has stages, and one of the stages, or they actually the three stages. Okay, we have what we call defects. Okay, identification of defects. This can be what with efficiencies, weaknesses. Okay, and under these, okay, maybe I'll talk about those later. Then from defects, they graduate into mistakes. Then from mistakes, then you have what we call symptoms. Okay. Symptoms, or you can say failure at the end of the day. Symptoms, stroke failure. Okay, those three stages or steps also have, under each you have a few things, but they also have what we call scores, minimum scores, that an entity as a whole, if it scores well, if you're doing well and you're not likely to fail, the entity is not likely to fail. Then it scores below 25. Okay, anything above, usually it's likely to fail. Okay, so under defects, we have several items, and I can talk about them this side, somewhere here. Okay, that has things to do with governance. But under governance, you have what we call autocratic CEO. These are guys who usually they really don't depend on others. They take decisions solely or solo. Okay, they want to consult. They don't engage in consultation. Okay, or participative decision making. Okay, they sit alone. They think of something. They come up with decisions, and then they impact them on people, or they force them on people. Now, whenever that's the case with your CEO, okay, autocracy or autocratic CEOs, the chances of you failing, they contribute a score of 8. Okay, that if someone is too autocratic, the CEO, if he's too autocratic, then such a firm is given an 8. Okay, in terms of score. If he's lesser and lesser, then the score goes on reducing. If he's bureaucratic completely, maybe have a 1 or a 0. Okay. So that is 1. Then the other thing is the independence of the board. The independence of the board, the independence board. If something independent, then it should be at least active. An active board. Where you have a board that is inactive, actually supposed to be inactive, inactive board. Board of directors. Okay. Where your entity or business has a board, you know that the board is charged with overseeing what the executive is doing, what the directors are doing. So when the board is inactive, what happens is that the directors do what they want. They do their own things. And in that regard, they contribute a score of of 4. Okay. Maybe some notes here, but they're not working well. Like they're not clear, so I'm struggling. So you may need to help me out whenever I ask for scores, since you have the notes. Then a lack of depth in management. Lack of depth in management. So we look at mainly the skills, number. The best thing that can explain this one is number of skilled management. That where you need 5 managers. Are they 5 or you only have 1? Why you need two managers? Is the number big enough, or you only have one? So whenever you have a smaller number or a very small number, that means it's lacking depth, then you have a score of 1. Okay. Then skilled key management experience. Okay, it's another point. Skilled key management. Okay, this one has a score of 4. That when you have skilled key management, then you're doing well, right? But if they're unskilled and if they're very unskilled, the score you get as a company is a 4 for unskilled. Okay, so the lesser the score, the better the mark, or the better the performance. If the score is big, then you're not doing well. Then poor response to change. Poor response to change. This one is very significant. The score is 15. But if you're very poor at responding to change, then we shall give you 15. That means that you're likely to fail. Then a weak finance director. Now these, you need to know these, like off-head. Finance director. The scores are 2. So if you're going to do Argenti'S, you need to be knowing all these, like off-head. Okay, then let me start something. You're saying a passive board. Yeah, I said inactive, but the other word says passive. Passive or inactive. They're the same. Okay. Lack of depth, I've looked at it. Skilled personnel, I've seen also the CEOs. The CEO's autocracy of the CEO. Okay. Then you also have so that was governance. Then you have either governance or management. Then you have accounting deficiencies and are still defects. So some of the accounting deficiencies or weaknesses that you look at include lack of budget decision. That's a 3. Okay, we'll give it a 3 as a score. That means if you lack budget decisions, we shall give you a 3. If you have, you may get a 0 or a 1. Okay, then lack of cash flow plans. Cash flow plans. You don't have a cash budget. You don't know where your money comes from and where it goes. You just spend it by either intuition or something like that. You don't have a plan, in short. Okay, then no costing systems in place, or lack of costing systems in place. In place. So a company does not have costing systems, like we know in performance management, costing is very important because it aids you to set the prices and in the long run, the profitability of the business. So where you don't have a good costing system, you may either overprice your goods or underprice them. Both ways are wrong. Okay, so then when you add those scores, they are close to 45. They're about 45. Both 45. When you're doing so badly, like you're so bad, but for you, you get maximum. Okay, it's 45. However, if you're doing well, we expect you to at least score expected for 10 and below. Okay, now that's a business that is doing well, that is like 5, let's say. Okay, so what are the defects? Governance and accounting, or you can say management and accounting. Then we go to mistakes now. Okay, under mistakes, we have high gearing. Mistakes, like can hear the word, it's more of something that you do without the intention of, there's no intention. Okay, you're doing it in the name of having the best, okay, but it's wrong. Okay, now an example is high gearing. High gearing is where you have high levels of data. So say leveraging, high leverage. This is where the level of data is so high. Now, if the level of data is so high, you're saying you like it to score a 5. Is it 5 or 15? Kindly confirm with me on the scores, because I'm having issues. This one is 15. Okay, 15. Okay, if you're so indebted, then we shall give you a score 15. If you average, you may have a 7. If you're good, you don't have so much debt, you may have a 1 or 2. Okay, the lower the score, the better. Then the next one is over trading. It's another mistake. And also I think scores 15, if I'm not mistaken. Over trading is a scenario where you want to do everything beyond your capacity. If it is production, you want to produce more than what you can even sell. If it is trying to expand, you want to have several branches that you can't even facilitate in terms of employees, capital, and things like that. Okay, you're overdoing it. That's over trading. Okay, you're getting what you're getting loans, so many loans, for example. You're getting so much capital in terms of equity, yet you don't want to use the money. Okay, that's over trading. Okay, but a true example that stands out is when you want to expand and you're opening so many branches without capacity to operate them. Okay, then the last one on this is reliance on a single or one big project. Okay, reliance single or one big project. I think single same as one. A single project or a big client. Okay, this was so common. Those who attended the Assam dinner, they will tell you that back then you would have auditors in Kampala, but they only have one client, and that's a client who sustains them like for the entire financial year. Okay, which is of course not the case right now. Now, such a scenario, we're saying where you rely on a single client, the chances of you failing are also weighing to 15. Use a score of 15. Okay, because you know the risks that if the client now changes his mind, if he prefers a better supplier or a better service, what happens? Once he dumps you, then you become a going concern. Like your career may end there. Okay. So that's the other thing. And this gives you a total of 45. But you may want to for you to do well, you want to have it as low as possible. Okay, now let's look at symptoms. Okay, under symptoms, we have they also split into financial and non-financial. So we have financial symptoms. Okay, why I was telling you this tool is actually both quantitative and qualitative is because of this factor. Financial symptoms. Okay, so financial have to do with money or finances or financials, like income statements. So what we normally use here is ratios, counting ratios, and look at liquidity. Okay, ratios. Remember ratio analysis, you have things like you want to compare or you want to comment on the profitability of the entity. Profitability of the entity, you want to look at the liquidity of the entity. You want to look at efficiency of the entity. Okay, among others. That's under financial analysis. Okay, so if it is scoring badly, I don't have scores on this one. If you do kindly share with me. Then we go to creative accounting, is another symptom. You find some guys playing with depreciation, seriously, trying to make the profit look nice. Or is playing with provision for bad debts, for example. Okay, that's kind of creative accounting where you're trying to make the statements look nice even when they're not looking good in actual sense. Okay. Then manipulating financial statements. Manipulating financial statements. Okay, I'm not sure how different it is from creative accounting because both the intention is to hide, okay, the actual image of the entity. Then, maybe for manipulation, you may want to have things like where you record, for example, okay, things like creative accounting, where somebody captures revenues or sells invoices at the end of the year. Then once they have reported, in the next period, it just reverses the revenues because they didn't occur. So he reverses them so that he go back to the normal thing. Okay, I think that is, I don't know if that's creative accounting or manipulation, but whatever the case is, you're seeing you're trying to hide the actual image of the entity through financials. Then we have non-financial. And non-financial, you can hear the word, it has nothing to do with money really. Non-financial. Okay. So under non-financial, we have people leaving the entity, what we call turnover. Turnover, or people leaving the entity, or even people staying for long in one single position. It could be also an issue. Then delaying of payment. Delaying of payment. Suppliers are always complaining. Even employees themselves are complaining. You're delaying payments, and this is usually because you want to either to hold money and invest it for something, and then the returns is what you want to use, and a few other things. Then falling market share. Feels like falling market share. Back then you maybe owned 50% of the market, but consequently you're reducing in the market share. Maybe you have now 10%, and things like that. Okay, and then finally you have the terminal signs. terminal sign, this is when you have things like legislation, what people want you to liquidate. Yeah. Liquidation requests, either voluntarily or compulsorily. So guys, that's how we comment about Argenti's. Oh, this is the whole thing you must know under Argenti's before you think of attempting the number. Because as you comment or as you come up with an answer for any particular question, as you're going to see, this is at the back of your mind. How much do they score and how much do you need to score at the end if you're going to be the kind of person who's doing well. Okay. So I don't have scores here. So you guys, someone should help us and get us scores, especially under symptoms. Okay, I'm seeing false, but not. Okay. So I don't have the notes quite well, but you can confirm with me the scores that we have here. Okay. Someone's saying it is a 4. Okay, because without those scores, you cannot comment or advise. Those are 4. Okay, among others. So as you share the scores, this is what we call Argenti's. Argenti's, I don't know that I'm saying the word rightly, but Argenti's is a tool. Okay, actually, it's this model is a tool, and it's a process in the nature of application through which we evaluate or predict the likelihood of an entity to fail. Yeah? Likelihood of an entity to fail or to stop to become a going concern. So the process is such that you identify defects first, what we call efficiencies, by just observing, okay, which is under, and they're split into 2. You have management or governance weaknesses. Management weaknesses. Okay, and then you have the accounting deficiencies or weaknesses. Okay, after having the defects, then these will result into mistakes. That a person who's autocratic is likely to make such mistakes. Okay, not necessarily that he wants them to happen, but because of his nature, okay, and traits, they ought to be, okay. They always come. These mistakes may have to arise. So I have high gearing and all these kind of things. Then you're saying you're going under likely. Okay, then symptoms. Of course, when you have mistakes, if you make mistakes, what will happen is now you begin seeing signs and symptoms of you failing. Okay, that in terms of ratios, for example, you will see you have high gearing or low liquidity, you have low profitability, efficiency so poor. Okay, you will see signs of creative accounting. Somebody's trying to make the financials look nice if they are not. Okay, manipulation of financial statements, and that's under financial. And then you have the non-financial symptoms, where you see people leaving, especially employees of high skill and experience. People are just leaving. Okay, yeah, you will see chances of delayed payments, either for suppliers or customers. Then the market share will see it falling. Okay, and once these symptoms, of course, arise, then the final part will always be terminal. Like you end up failing, what we call liquidation. Okay, so that's how we do Argenti's. I can look at the question and see how do you add to get 45. You add the scores the way they are. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the right scores, but you're supposed to. When you add autocratic score, the 8 plus 4 plus 4 plus 15 plus 2, and then plus this 3, what must give you 45. Eh? So I'm not sure that the scores of mine are all correct, but if they're all correct, it's supposed to give you a total of 45. Okay. Then now our issue is you can't, if you're doing well or if you're going concern as an entity, you can't score 45 because once you score 45, it means you're going to fail. Chances are so obvious. So any business is going on well or doing well, it's supposed to be under 45. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be either 10 and below. It's a perfect entity in terms of governance. Okay. And in terms of defects, then mistakes, still it is 45. As you can see, when you just add this, it will give you 45. About 45, but you don't want to score 45 if you're doing well. So you may want to also consider 10 or less. About 10. Okay. Good performance. It's about 10 and below. Okay. Then you have then the symptoms. Okay. See, when you add the symptoms, I think they're about 45 as well. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have the right score, so I don't want to really stick on that or dwell on it. But now we say that an entity is a going concern, and surely it is. If it scores, when you add all these, when you add your governance, accounting, add mistakes, add symptoms, your score must be below 25 if you're doing well. Okay, so let's refer to our question that I shared here and see if you can say a thing or two in the few minutes possible. Question 5, past papers. Which year is this? It is 2020, 2021 academic year. So question 5, which is I think section B, question 5. It says that whereas the quantitative based financial reports give insights on the performance of any company, they may not be enough in the analysis for comprehensive decision making. Equally important is the consideration of the qualitative aspects of company operations. Once you see the word qualitative, usually that is identity. It combines both. So the required part is, with this insight and in line with the Argenti'S model, identify a company of your choice or of your interest that you would intend to drive to prosperity, meaning that shouldn't be failing. Prosperity means you'll be scoring at least 25 and below in the foreseeable future, amidst and from overcoming the impediments of COVID-19 impacts on such a business. Okay, so they want you to advise and based on that. So what we do is, like you saw all this, because I'm going to use this information to just explain. Okay, so anyone or any person who wants his entity to do well will begin with governance. Okay, assuming we choose which company can we choose? Maybe Uganda Clays. Uganda is doing well, so doing well at least before. Unlike now, Uganda Clays Limited. Okay. In governance, the autocracy of a CEO must be revised. So you want to hire a CEO who is more of non-autocratic. I don't want to say bureaucratic because it looks, I don't think it's opposite to autocratic. But a CEO who's non-autocratic, that he involves the rest of the members or the rest of the management in decision making. Okay, such a CEO would score maybe about 2. Okay. Instead of an 8, would have a 2 if he's non-autocratic, or even a 1. Okay, that is done. Then you think of the board. The board, how is its independence and its level of activeness in terms of sharing or revising and advising the CEO in terms of policies and their performance. Do they evaluate the performance of the management and the executive at large? Or are the guys who, whatever the executive gives, they just approve and sign? Do they supervise these guys? Do they do an oversight? Okay, that's what you call an active board. Now, if it's passive, then it's a challenge. So you want to advise the company to have an active board. So guys, this link closes in a few. You can rejoin again and you finish what you're doing and then call it a night. So rejoin in the same link and so that you can finish this.